The smoke alarm screamed just as Claire Bates pulled the skillet off the stove. She coughed, waving a dish towel under the shrieking alarm. Grease hissed in the pan, the half-seared steaks going from perfect to ruined in 10 miserable seconds. The tiny Brooklyn apartment filled with the smell of burnt marinade and desperation. "Great," she muttered. "That was my last discount ribeye." From the couch, her corgi lifted his head. The dog's ears stood straight up, eyes wide and hopeful. "Do not look at me like that, Bun," Claire said. "You get kibble. Vet's orders." Bun slid off the couch anyway, chunky little legs padding across the tile. He sniffed the air like a tiny, judgmental food critic. His name was officially Biscuit, but somewhere between late-night frozen pizza and sunrise subway rides, he had become Bun. A round, golden loaf of trouble. Claire finally slapped the button on the alarm. The apartment fell into a heavy silence. The cheap clock on the wall ticked. Traffic hummed outside the window. Somewhere down the hall, a neighbor yelled at their television. She glanced at the time. Almost 8. Eli should have been home an hour ago. She frowned and grabbed her phone. No texts. No calls. Just the same old email notifications from bill collectors and temp agencies. Maybe he got stuck at the office. She told Bun, more to fill the space than because she believed it. Eli's tech company had been eating him alive lately. That was what he said, anyway. There were a lot of late nights, a lot of emergency meetings, a lot of cologne on his shirts that did not smell like their drugstore laundry detergent. Claire shoved the thought away. She turned back to the counter, grabbed 2 plates, and tried to salvage the steaks with a knife and a lot of optimism. Mashed potatoes, over-steamed green beans, 2 plates, 1 crooked candle from the dollar store. 7th wedding anniversary dinner, done on a budget and a prayer. The door opened behind her. She smiled in relief, already turning with a joke on her lips. "You are just in time. I almost burned down the building, but at least your steak died a hero." The smile froze on her face. Eli Bates stepped into the apartment in a tailored navy suit that did not belong to the man who had once owned only one good blazer. The city's winter air clung to him. So did the faint scent of expensive perfume. Not hers. On his arm, wearing a champagne silk dress and a fur-trimmed coat that clearly never saw the inside of a laundromat, was another woman. Claire stared. The woman looked around the cramped apartment with open disgust, like she might catch something from breathing the same air. Her hair was glossy, her lipstick perfect, her heels too high for the worn hardwood floor. She held a tiny designer clutch like a weapon. Bun trotted over to sniff her shoe. She lifted her foot with a little squeal. "Eli," Claire said slowly. "You brought a guest." Eli did not answer at first. He shrugged out of his coat and tossed it over the back of the couch like he still lived here. His jaw was tight. His eyes did not meet hers. He grabbed a thick envelope from his briefcase and slapped it onto the table. "Claire," he said. His voice came out flat. "Sign it." She blinked. "Sign what?" He pushed the envelope toward her. Papers spilled out. Legal language crawled across the page. But 4 words near the top were printed in bold, unforgiving letters. Divorce agreement. No property. No alimony. Her stomach dropped all the way to the cheap linoleum. The lawyer drew it up. Eli went on. "We can file this week. I already signed." The other woman finally spoke. Her voice was bright and sharp, like a champagne glass ready to crack. "Claire, right." She smiled, but it did not reach her eyes. "I am Sophia Green. I thought it would be better if we do this quickly. Less drama that way." Sophia Green. Claire knew the name. Anyone who read business gossip did. Supposed rich girl. Connections to old family money. Always photographed at charity galas and rooftop parties. Rumored to be looking for promising investments and promising husbands. "My steak is getting cold," Claire said. Her voice sounded strangely distant to her own ears. "And you brought a +1 to our anniversary dinner." Eli flinched. Just a little. "This is not about dinner," he snapped. "We are not working, Claire. We have not worked for a long time. We are from different worlds now." She stared at him. "Different worlds." He nodded, gaining confidence like he was pitching a startup instead of dismantling a marriage. "I am a founder now. I have investors. I am playing in a league you cannot even imagine. My wife has to fit that image. She needs to understand upper-level networking, not coupon clipping. She has to help me grow the business, not drag me down with grocery bills and vet appointments." Bun gave a soft offended bark. Sophia giggled and clung a little tighter to Eli's arm. "Be nice, Eli. She looks a sweet." She gave Claire a slow once-over, from her stained apron to her thrift store jeans. Just not really a boardroom material. Claire almost laughed. Not because it was funny, but because if she did not, she was going to scream. Boardroom material. She repeated. This from the man who once closed a pitch over a plate of instant noodles. That was before. Eli said. You know how much you complain about money. I am trying to fix that for us. But lately it feels like all you do is hold me back. You nag. You worry. You refuse to understand what it takes to win. Claire felt something in her chest crack, quiet and clean. You mean like working 3 jobs to keep the lights on while you win? She asked. Eli's mouth pulled into a thin line. I never asked you to work that much. You never asked how the rent got paid either, she said. Or how your credit cards magically zeroed out before each business trip. Sophia rolled her eyes. This is getting boring. Claire, sweetie, listen. Eli is going places. My family can help him. We can take his company public in a few years. You do not belong in that picture. This is the kindest way. You sign, you walk away clean, no bad press. You find someone more on your level. On my level. Claire murmured. Eli folded his arms. If you refuse, I will talk. He warned. People might find it interesting that my wife has been hiding the fact that she is working 3 under-the-table jobs. That she lied to landlords and banks. That kind of mess could follow my company. So do not make this ugly. He thought he was threatening her. To Claire, the words landed like a final confirmation. He would protect his reputation. Not her. Never her. Bun shuffled closer to her ankle, pressing his warm body against her leg. His round dark eyes watched her, trusting, waiting for her cue. Claire slowly uncotted the dish towel from her hand. She wiped a smear of sauce from her cheek. Then she picked up the pen lying next to the papers. She took a breath. It tasted like burnt steak and endings. Fine, she said. She moved through the pages, signing where the little yellow tabs told her to sign. The pen did not shake. Each swoop of ink felt like closing a door that had been hanging off rusty hinges for far too long. Sophia looked almost disappointed. That is it. No screaming? No begging? Claire flourished her signature one last time and closed the folder. You two already rehearsed that part, she said. No point in competing. She slid off her wedding ring. The thin gold band had worn a faint mark into her skin. She turned it once between her fingers, then flicked it across the table. It hit Eli in the chest and dropped into his lap. Congratulations, she said. Her voice was calm, almost polite. You got everything you wanted. No crying wife. No messy finances. No more coupon clipping. You are free to marry your ticket to the boardroom. Eli's face reddened. Do not be petty, Claire. I am done being everything but petty, she said. She walked past them without another glance, scooping Bun into her arms. The dog wriggled, then twisted to glare at Eli with comical fury. He gave one sharp bark that sounded suspiciously like an insult. Come on, Bun, Claire murmured. We have somewhere better to be. Where do you think you are going? Eli demanded. She opened the front door and paused. The hallway smelled like dust and takeout. For a second, memory flashed. Eli holding a pizza box, grinning, promising they would be rich someday. Promising she would never have to worry again. Promises had turned into legal threats, and a woman in champagne silk. Claire turned her head just enough to look back over her shoulder. Out of your world, she said softly. Back to mine. Then she stepped into the hallway and closed the door on Eli, on the smoke, on 7 years of loving a man who did not know her at all. Bun snuffled against her neck. His stubby tail thumped. It is okay, she whispered to him. We are going home now. He gave a small questioning bark, as if to say home. Claire smiled for real for the first time that day. Not this shoebox, she said. The real one. Outside, Brooklyn's winter wind cut through her thin sweater, but Claire lifted her chin and walked toward the subway. Divorce papers rustled in her tote bag. Her phone buzzed with a single new message. Granddad finally. Ready to come back to the bakery, kiddo. Claire typed with numb fingers as she walked. Claire, yes. I am ready. The headquarters of Hearth and Home Bakery did not look anything like the cramped Brooklyn apartment Eli had always sneered at. Morning light poured through floor-to-ceiling windows, spilling over polished concrete floors, and long rows of communal tables where bakers tested recipes in small gleaming ovens. The air smelled like fresh bread and cinnamon sugar instead of burned oil and stress. Claire stepped out of the elevator and inhaled deeply. Her reflection stared back at her from the glass wall. The thrift store jeans and stained apron were gone. She wore a tailored cream blazer, a silk blouse, and high-waisted trousers that actually fit. Her hair, usually twisted into a messy bun, now fell in smooth waves over her shoulders. There was a hint of rose on her lips, a touch of confidence in the tilt of her chin. Bun trotted at her heel, his new hearth and home bandana tied around his neck. Employees melted as he passed. "Is that the company dog?" One whispered. "That is the legend." Another answered. "The founder's granddaughter's corgi." Claire tried not to blush at the murmurs. She pushed open the conference room door. Inside, executives sat around a long wooden table. Some looked up with curiosity, some with skepticism. At the head of the table, a white-haired man with sharp blue eyes and flour on his cuffs grinned so wide his cheeks almost split. "About time, Claire Bear," he said. "You kept my chair warm." Claire's grandfather, Harold King, had built Hearth and Home from a single Brooklyn corner bakery into a national brand. To the world he was a legend. To Claire he was the man who taught her to braid challah and curse at delivery trucks. "I kept it on hold," she said, crossing the room to hug him. "Hi, Granddad." He held her tight for a moment, then leaned back to look at her. "You look like someone who remembers which side she belongs on." His gaze flicked down to the folder in her hand. "That the paperwork?" She handed it over. "Signed." A quiet rustle went around the table. Everyone knew, in vague terms, that the king of Hearth and Home had a runaway granddaughter, who had married a broke programmer against his advice. Everyone had heard rumors about the idiot, who lived off her savings while bragging about equity. Now they watched that rumor walk in wearing the family's color palette and a small, dangerous smile. Harold flipped through the pages and grunted. "No alimony, no property." He really tried it. "That is what I wanted," Claire said. "I do not need his money. I have work. And you have this," Harold said, tapping the table. "The bakery your grandmother named after the way our kitchen felt when she pulled a loaf out of the oven. Hearth and Home. It is yours when I finally drop dead on a sack of flour." "Please do not do that," Claire said. "It would traumatize the interns." A few executives choked on their coffee. Harold chuckled and slapped the table. "All right, people. For anyone who has not met her in person, this is my granddaughter, Claire Bates." "Yes, Bates, not King. I tried to fix that, but she insisted on marrying for love." There were polite laughs. Claire took the seat at his right, the one that had sat empty for years. "I know some of you are worried," Harold went on. "You think I am handing the company to a girl who spent the last few years clipping coupons and burning casseroles. Let me remind you." He pointed at the wall, where framed charts displayed the company's growth. "Who do you think designed the seasonal menus for the last 3 winters? Who pitched the rebrand for our Brooklyn flagships? Who answered my emails at 3 in the morning when I could not figure out how to work the new sales dashboard?" All eyes turned to her. Claire cleared her throat. "I did." Harold nodded. "She did. Claire has been running half this place from a busted laptop in a tiny kitchen, using free software and public Wi-Fi. She kept this ship growing while her ex-husband tried to build his dinghy." A ripple of amusement moved through the room. Someone coughed to hide a laugh. Claire took a breath. "I made mistakes," she said. "I made one very big one 7 years ago. I thought the best way to prove I was not just some spoiled bakery princess was to walk away from all of this and build a life from scratch with someone I loved. I worked hard, harder than I thought I could, but I also shrank myself to fit into his idea of a supportive wife. I let him decide my worth." She looked up, meeting the eyes around the table. "I am not going to do that again. Not here. Not with this company." Harold's eyes shone with pride. "So what do you want to do first, kiddo?" Claire set a second folder on the table. "I want to diversify," she said. "Our brand is strong on comfort. We are the place people go when they need warmth. But there is a new market we are missing." The CFO raised a brow. "Which market?" She smiled. "Revenge." A soft silence fell. "You want to sell revenge?" Someone asked carefully. "Not literally," Claire said. "But every time someone gets dumped, fired, cheated, or underestimated, they should think of us. Hearth and Home should be the place you go when you are ready to stop crying over what you lost and start celebrating what you survived." She clicked the remote. Slides appeared on the screen. New packaging mock-ups. A limited edition. Fresh start. Cake line. Signed my own papers. Brownies. Block his number. Truffles. Bold, funny copy that made half the room snort. "This is irreverent," the marketing director said slowly. "But it is smart. People love a glow-up narrative. We know something about that," Harold said. "Claire, this is good. Thank you," she said. "And I want to use the campaign to leverage an acquisition." The CFO leaned forward. Of what? Claire clicked again. A logo appeared. A small, struggling tech company. Bright colors. A familiar name. Bates Solutions. The room hummed. That is your ex-husband's company. Someone whispered. It is. Claire said calmly. He has a decent product and terrible leadership. He is overstretched, underfunded, and he has no idea how to manage user data. If someone else buys him, they might actually turn him into a threat. I would rather we own him, and make sure he becomes something useful. Useful how? Harold asked, though his eyes glinted with mischief. Loyalty platform. Claire said. Online ordering. Custom celebration reminders. We need a solid tech arm to expand our reach. Bates Solutions could be that, with a different name and a better manager. Right now he is behind on payroll and begging his investors for another round. We would not have to pay much. One of the board members frowned. Is this about personal revenge, Claire? Because that is a dangerous motive for a business move. Claire did not flinch. It is about both, she said. He built his company with my money and my labor, then tried to throw me away like a used napkin. I am not ashamed to admit I take some satisfaction in the idea of buying him out. But the numbers make sense. The tech is salvageable, his contracts are valuable, and our legal team has already confirmed we can structure the deal to protect us. Harold looked around the room. Anyone see a reason not to move? The Q sighed. Only that I was planning to enjoy a quiet quarter. But I cannot argue with the logic. Then we vote. Harold said. Hands went up, one after another. The motion passed. Good. Harold said. He turned to Claire. You lead the integration. I will have Lucas brief you on the details. As if on cue, the door opened. Lucas King stepped in with a laptop under his arm and a coffee in his hand. He was tall, with warm brown skin and soft curls that brushed his forehead. His suit was expensive but understated, the kind of thing that said I have money, but I do not need you to know it. His eyes lit up when he saw Claire. Sorry I am late, he said. Our London partners had feelings about the new holiday flavors. They will live. Did I miss the fireworks? Just the warm-up, Harold said. Lucas, my boy, meet my granddaughter in her official capacity. Claire, this is Lucas King, our resident numbers wizard, and one of our early investors. We have met, Lucas said, smiling. Once. In Brooklyn. You wore flour and exhaustion, and still made the best cinnamon roll I have ever tasted. Claire remembered. He had come by the apartment once with her grandfather, back when she was still pretending everything was fine. He had seen the messy kitchen, the scattered invoices, the way Eli had barely looked up from his laptop. He had tasted her cinnamon roll, said thank you, and left. Right, she said. You were the only one who took the last sticky bun and still tipped. Lucas laughed. Guilty. Nice to see you again, Claire. And you must be Bun. Bun wagged so hard his whole body wiggled. Lucas will walk you through the acquisition plan, Harold said. And maybe steal your dog if you do not watch him. I would never steal a dog, Lucas protested. Then he glanced at Bun again. I would, however, accept any offers of shared custody. Claire felt a small, ridiculous flutter in her chest. It had been a long time since someone looked at her like she was part of the interesting view, not just background support. Let us start with the numbers, she said briskly. Then you can try to bribe Bun with treats. Deal, Lucas said. As they left the conference room, Claire's phone buzzed again. A news alert banner flashed across the screen. Tech hopeful Eli Bates attends gala with rumored heiress Sophia Green. A photo filled the top of the article. Eli in a tux, Sophia on his arm, both laughing under crystal chandeliers. Sophia held a glass of red wine incorrectly. The caption called her the mysterious Green family heiress. Claire smiled, slow and sharp. Something funny? Lucas asked. Just a headline, she said. It is amazing what people will believe with the right dress code. Believe what? That someone belongs in a world, she said. That they earned their place there. Lucas tilted his head, studying her. And what do you believe? She thought of Eli's words in the smoky kitchen. Different worlds, not on his level. I believe I am done asking permission to be in any room, she said. Including my own. Lucas's smile widened. Good, he said. Because we are about to walk into his world, and by the floor under his feet. By the time Claire walked into the glass-walled office of Bates Solutions, the air inside tasted like stale coffee and panic. Employees huddled in corners whispering. A whiteboard still bore half-erased projections from a long-past investor meeting. Series B was circled 3 times and underlined as if that could wish money into existence. Claire straightened her blazer and stepped into the lobby with Bun at her heel. Lucas walked beside her, scrolling through numbers on his tablet. You know, he murmured. For a guy who loves talking about disruption, he sure leased the most generic founder space in Brooklyn. Harsh, Claire said. And accurate. At the reception desk, a young man with dark circles under his eyes looked up. Can I help you? Yes, Claire said. You can tell Mr. Bates that his new boss is here. The receptionist blinked. I am sorry, ma'am, who did you say you were? Lucas slid a folder across the desk. We represent Hearth and Home Holdings, he said. Here is the signed acquisition agreement. We closed the wire this morning. Congratulations. You now work for a bakery. The receptionist's jaw dropped. Wait, seriously? Like the Hearth and Home? With the cinnamon swirl loaf? The very same, Claire said. We will have samples next week. For now, could you call Eli? He fumbled with the phone. Why, yes, of course. While they waited, Bun hopped onto the waiting area couch with a short leap, sniffed a decorative pillow, and promptly circled 3 times before flopping down. A programmer looked up from his laptop and whispered. Dog. In awe. The elevator dinged. Eli stepped out, still in the same too shiny suit, tie half loosened. He looked tired, annoyed, and very busy. Then he saw her. Color drained from his face. Claire, he said. What are you doing here? Her heart did a strange little flip at the sound of her name in his voice. 7 years of muscle memory was not easy to erase. She straightened her shoulders and stepped past him into the open space of his office floor. Nice place, she said. You changed the posters. He stared. You cannot just walk in here. I have a meeting. With us, Lucas said calmly. He walked to the center of the room and clapped his hands once. Everybody, could I have your attention for a moment? Heads popped up over monitors. Chairs rolled back. Someone clicked off a game on their second screen. My name is Lucas King, he said. I am with Hearth and Home Holdings. As of this morning, we completed an acquisition of Bates Solutions. That means effective today, this company is a wholly owned subsidiary of our group. A ripple of shock moved through the office. Eli made a strangled sound. You cannot do that, he snapped. I did not sign anything. I would never sell to a bakery. You did sign something, Lucas said. 3 months ago, a bridge note with an option for conversion in the event of default. You missed 2 interest payments and violated your covenants with that last cash advance. He held up a document. Your largest creditor had the right to call the note and sell it. They did. We bought it. Claire watched the realization hit one of the engineers. He swiveled in his chair, eyes wide. So the house did not burn down, he whispered. We just got bought by bread people. Not just bread. Another worker corrected him. Have you tried their salted caramel brownies? We will keep everyone informed about next steps, Lucas said. Our goal is to integrate your platform into our loyalty and ordering system. There will be some changes, but we intend to keep as many of you as possible. Questions can go to HR after the all hands this afternoon. He stepped back. All eyes landed on Claire. Eli gaped at her. This is your doing? Claire met his gaze. You made it very easy, she said. Your debt was on sale for a bargain. We picked it up. Congratulations, Eli. You finally landed a big investor, just not the one you expected. This is insane, he said. You are a housewife. You make muffins. You do not run acquisitions. Oh, I do both, she said. Multitasking. You might have heard of it. Bun hopped off the couch and trotted to her side, sitting squarely between them. His leash dangled from her hand like a tiny line of defense. This is personal, Eli hissed. You are trying to destroy me because I left. You did not leave, she said. You threw me out of an apartment I paid for, with a marriage I built, so you could impress a woman who thinks Bordeaux is a perfume. And I am not trying to destroy you. I am trying to save your employees and harvest your data without having to talk to you too often. A few employees coughed. One failed to hide a smile. Lucas stepped in, voice smooth. We will set up a transition meeting, he said. Mr. Bates, you will remain as a consultant for the next 30 days, at our discretion. After that, we will see. Eli bristled. You cannot demote me in my own company. Not your company anymore, Lucas said. Check your inbox. Phones chimed in pockets. A chorus of notification pings filled the space. Eli fumbled his out and scrolled. His face went pale again. You fired me, he whispered. You actually fired me. Technically, we offered you a generous severance package if you sign the non-compete, Lucas corrected. But yes, We are going in a different direction. Eli looked around as if the office walls might come to his defense. No one stepped in. The receptionist stared at his keyboard. The programmers stared at their screens. No one was willing to die on a hill built out of unpaid overtime and cancelled health insurance. You cannot do this to me, Eli said to Claire. You loved me. Claire felt the words like an echo from a different life. Her throat tightened for a heartbeat, then cleared. I did, she said quietly. That is why you are getting a soft landing instead of a lawsuit for fraud. His eyes flashed. Fraud. You used my savings as seed capital, without putting my name on any of the documents, she said. You used my credit, my labor, my nights, and my weekends. You threatened to smear me if I did not sign your papers. I could drag this through the courts. Instead, I bought your problem and turned it into a solution. She took a breath. You are welcome. He searched her face, looking for some crack, some sign that this was still the Claire who would stay up until midnight to reorder server space for him. He found only a woman in a cream blazer standing in her own light. Claire, he said. Please. We can fix this. We can fix us. Bun growled. A low, rumbling sound from a very small chest. Lucas checked his watch. We have a schedule, he said. Mr. Bates, my team will follow up this afternoon. Claire, we need to get to the bakery for the tasting. Right, she said. We have cupcakes named after life choices now. Eli stared. You are joking. She smiled. You will see. They walked away. At the elevator, Claire glanced back. Eli stood in the middle of his office, clutching his severance packet, looking suddenly small inside the glass box he had been so proud of. As the doors slid shut, Lucas studied her profile. You okay? Claire exhaled slowly. I thought I would feel more triumphant, she said. Instead, it just feels like cleaning up a mess I should never have let him track into my house. That is still a win, Lucas said. Not every victory comes with fireworks. Sometimes it is just taking out the trash. Bun barked once, as if in agreement. On the street outside, the wind slapped color into Claire's cheeks. Reporters were already loitering by the door, sniffing around for a story. Someone had leaked the acquisition. Microphones angled toward her. Ms. Bates, is it true you are the granddaughter of Hearth and Home's founder? Is it true you secretly funded Bates Solutions? Is it true you were left with nothing in the divorce? Claire looked straight into the nearest camera. It is true I worked very hard for a long time, and got treated like I was worth nothing, she said. That story ends today. The new story is about what happens when a woman remembers exactly what she brings to the table and refuses to sit at the wrong one. The clip would be on social media within the hour. It would be cut, remixed, turned into empowerment audio for strangers she would never meet. Claire did not know any of that yet. She only knew that when Lucas touched her elbow lightly to guide her to the waiting car, she did not flinch. You handled that well, he said. You know you just wrote your own tagline, right? Did I? She asked. Lucas smiled. We will talk strategy after cupcakes. The launch party for Hearth and Home's Fresh Start line was held in a renovated warehouse in downtown Manhattan. Exposed brick, long wooden tables, strings of warm lights, live jazz band, cameras, influencers. The kind of event Eli would have sold a kidney to attend. Claire stood near the dessert table, watching guests pick up tiny cakes labeled with names like signed my own papers, unblocked myself, and new phone who is this? Each one came with a little card inscribed with a different affirmation. This is ridiculous, she muttered. And it is working. Lucas, beside her, watched a group of young women take selfies with their dessert plates. Ridiculous sells, he said. It helps that everything tastes obscene. Claire bit into a sample of the moving on cheesecake and groaned. Okay, fair, she said. Obscene is a good word. Harold clinked a spoon against his champagne glass on the small stage. All right, you sugar addicts, he called. Eyes up here. The room quieted. Cameras pivoted. Most of you know me, Harold said. I am the old guy who insists on kneading dough by hand in an era of industrial mixers. Tonight is not about me. It is about the future of this company. So I am going to do something rare. He stepped aside and gestured. I am going to shut up and hand the mic to someone smarter. Claire took the microphone, heart thudding. Stage lights washed over her. For a moment she saw not the glittering crowd, but a tired girl in a dim kitchen staring at a stack of unpaid bills. She cleared her throat. Hi, she said. I am Claire Bates. Some of you know me as the granddaughter of this stubborn man. Some of you may know me as the ex-wife of a certain tech founder you saw in business gossip last month. Both are true. There was a murmur. Someone up front raised their phone higher. For a long time, I thought my life had to fit into one story. She said. The good girl who supports her husband and does not complain. The housewife who is grateful for whatever scraps of attention she gets. The background character. She smiled. Turns out, I was wrong. Shocking, I know. The truth is, I was always two things at once. I was the woman who packed lunches and worked overnight shifts. I was also the person quietly writing menus and marketing plans for this company. She gestured to the tables. Tonight we are celebrating the moment you stop pretending you are only allowed to be one thing. When you sign your own papers, metaphorical or literal. When you decide to take up the space you already earned. Applause broke out. Someone whooped. Bun barked near the front row, wearing a tiny tie for the occasion. And since we are talking about truth, Claire went on. I have one more reveal. Lucas stepped onto the stage with a tablet. The big screen behind them flickered and changed. A picture appeared. Sophia Green, in a sparkling gown, laughing on the arm of a bored venture capitalist at some charity gala. Headlines called her the mysterious green heiress. A ripple of recognition moved through the crowd. This is Sophia, Claire said. You have probably seen her online. She calls herself an heiress. She tells people her family owns half of Midtown. A few weeks ago, she broke up my marriage and attached herself to my ex-husband's company, promising that her fortune could save him. She looked at the room. Small problem. None of that is true. The slide changed. Screenshots of public records, family trees, comments from actual members of the Green family, who had gotten tired of being name-dropped by a distant cousin on social media. She grew up in New Jersey in a perfectly normal house, Claire said. Her parents are lovely people who work very hard and do not deserve to be lied about. She is related to the wealthy Greens the way I am related to every other person named King on the planet. Chuckles rolled through the audience. I do not care that she is not rich, Claire said. There is nothing wrong with not being rich. I care that she used a false story about herself to manipulate deals, to trick investors, and to convince a man that she could give him something I could not. The next slide showed bank transfer records. Sophia receiving consulting fees from Eli's company. Sophia withdrawing large amounts of cash days before bills went unpaid. She did not bring money to his company, Claire said. She took it out. A buzz rippled through the crowd. Phones were held higher, screens glowing. And before anyone accuses me of being petty, Claire added. Yes, this is personal, but it is also business. Women get called gold diggers all the time for far less than this. I think, just once, we should call a shovel what it is. There was a beat of stunned silence, then laughter, then applause, louder this time, with a jagged edge of satisfaction. Someone near the back shouted, "Say it again." Sophia chose that exact moment to storm into the event. She wore a silver dress that caught the light like aluminum foil. Two security guards trailed behind, trying and failing to politely stop her. Camera flashes exploded. Turn that off. She snapped at the screen. You cannot show that. That is private. It is all public record. Lucas said calmly. We double-checked. Sophia pointed at Claire. You are just jealous. She spat. You could not keep your man, so you are trying to ruin me. Claire's grip on the microphone tightened. Part of her wanted to roll her eyes and walk away. Another part, the one that had watched Sophia drape herself over Claire's couch and call her a yellow-faced wife, stepped forward. Jealous? She repeated. Of what? Your debt. Somewhere near the cake table, a server choked on a laugh. I have everything you wanted, Sophia said, desperate. Eli loves me. He lives in my world now. He will never come crawling back to you. The crowd shifted. People glanced at one another. A few looked sympathetic. More looked hungry for drama. Claire's phone buzzed in her pocket. She pulsed the screen with her thumb. A message from a friend at Bates Solutions flashed up. Friend, brace yourself. He is on his way. Someone told him about the party. Of course he was. I am not trying to take him back, Claire said into the mic. I am trying to make sure no one else gets hurt the way I did. By lies. By manipulation. By believing that someone else's last name makes them better than you. Security finally managed to guide Sophia toward the exit. She twisted in their grip, shouting over her shoulder. You think you are better than me? She shrieked. You are nothing without your grandfather's bakery. You are just playing dress up. Claire took a slow breath. Maybe, she said. But at least I am not playing pretend with other people's rent money. The room roared. Security carried Sophia out. Later, the clip would be replayed on endless loops online. Hashtag fake Heires would trend. So would hashtag bakery boss. For now, Claire just stood there, slightly breathless, as adrenaline drained out of her system. Lucas stepped close and lowered his voice. You okay? She handed him the microphone. Ask me in 10 minutes. She murmured. The doors at the back flew open again. Eli stumbled in, out of breath, tie crooked. He looked like he had run the whole way. Claire, he called. We need to talk. Half the room groaned. The other half lifted their phones again. Bun, who had been sitting under a table chewing on a napkin, heard the familiar voice. His ears sprang up. He trotted out, saw Eli, and immediately started barking. Not friendly barks. Judge and jury barks. Bun, no. Claire said automatically, but the dog was already charging. As Eli reached the edge of the dessert table, Bun launched himself at his shins. Eli yelped, stumbled, and grabbed for support. His hand landed in a tray of signed my own papers. Mini cakes. Frosting smeared across his suit. The crowd gasped, then laughed. Seriously? Eli spluttered. You trained your dog to attack me? Bun does not attack. Claire said. He just has strong opinions about people who raise their voice in public. A camera flash caught Eli's frosting-smeared chest, his shocked face, the tiny corgi snarling at his heels. The image would land on several gossip sites before midnight. Claire, please, Eli said, lowering his voice. Can we talk somewhere private? She looked at him, really looked. He was handsome, still. The same thick hair, the same brown eyes that had once convinced her to jump into the unknown with him. But there was a tightness around his mouth now, a permanent flinch from too many bad decisions. There is nothing left to say, she said. He swallowed. I was wrong, he said. About everything, about you, about Sophia. She drained my accounts and left me with debt. Investors are pulling out. Everyone is laughing at me. That is rough, she said. You must feel very on my level now. Somewhere nearby, Harold coughed to hide a laugh. I know I do not deserve a second chance, Eli said quickly. But just to let me work for you. Let me prove I am not the monster the internet thinks I am. We can start over. I will even sign a postnup. We can date again, slowly. I will show you I have changed. Claire's chest ached. For a moment she saw the boy who had split a slice of pizza with her on a park bench and promised they would build something together. The boy who had danced with her in a tiny wedding hall and whispered that she was his whole world. Then she remembered him standing in their kitchen, tossing divorce papers on the table while another woman laughed at her. No, she said softly. His face crumpled. Just like that? You are not even going to think about it. I have been thinking about it for months, she said. Every time I took a nap in the 20 minutes between jobs. Every time you came home smelling like perfume that was not mine and told me I was being paranoid. Every time you looked at me like I was a burden. I thought about it. A lot. She shook her head. I am done, Eli. I am not your backup plan. I am not your soft landing. I am the woman who kept you alive long enough to sabotage herself. I am finally choosing me. Silence settled over the room. Even the band had gone quiet. Eli's eyes were shiny. You will regret this, he whispered. You will miss me. Bun sneezed directly on his shoe. I already missed you, Claire said. For 7 years. While you were standing right next to me. I am not going back there. She turned away. Lucas stepped neatly between her and Eli, a polite human wall. I think that is enough for tonight, Lucas said. Security will show you out. Please do not come to company events again unless you are holding a valid ticket and a less dramatic attitude. Eli stood there, frosting on his suit, rejected in front of half the city's influencers. For once, there was no speech he could give to fix the optics. There was only the slow walk back to the door, the stairs, and the knowledge that the world had just watched him lose the one person who had ever really been on his side. Claire's knees wobbled as he left. Lucas touched her elbow again, steadying her. You did well, he said. You told the truth. It feels like being hit by a truck made of cupcakes, she said weakly. He laughed. Then we will get you a chair and some water. Truck victims get priority seating. Bun trotted in circles around her feet, then hopped up against her leg, little paws scratching her trousers. She bent to scoop him up, burying her face in his fur for a second. We are okay, she murmured to him. We are really okay. His tail wagged against her arm, a small metronome of agreement. After the party, life did not magically turn into a montage scored by upbeat pop music. It turned into work. Early mornings at the bakery, Late nights in meetings. Endless emails. It also turned into something Claire had not expected. It turned funny. Word of Eli's frosting disaster and Sophia's meltdown traveled fast. Memes popped up overnight. Someone edited a clip of Bun barking at Eli and added a voiceover that declared, "We do not accept returns on trash you took out yourself." It went viral. Strangers tagged Claire in videos of themselves eating. Signed my own papers. Brownies after breakups, job resignations, even moving out of toxic roommate apartments. The campaign worked better than anyone had dared hope. Eli, meanwhile, began the most tragic rebranding tour of all time. He showed up outside Hearth and Home headquarters with flowers. Security did not let him past the lobby. He tried again the next day with a handwritten sign. "I am sorry, Claire." The picture of him holding the cardboard sign, in a wrinkled suit, Bun glaring at him from inside the glass doors, hit the internet within minutes. Lucas leaned against the reception desk and watched it unfold. If this man put half as much energy into his business as he is putting into embarrassing himself, we might not have been able to afford him. He remarked. "Should I be nicer?" Claire asked, peeking over his shoulder at the camera feed. "Do you want to take him back?" Lucas asked. "No," she said. "Then you are being exactly nice enough," he said. Day 3, Eli brought a boombox and held it over his head like a character in an old movie, blasting a love song outside the building. Bun lost his mind. The corgi pressed himself against the glass and howled. "Turn it off before the city finds us." Harold grumbled, but he was laughing. Day 5, Eli tried to ambush Claire as she left through the loading dock, thinking she would not expect him there. He jumped out from behind a stack of flour bags just as Bun, who had been sniffing around the pallets, decided to lift his leg. The timing was spectacular. The scream echoed for blocks. The security footage was cinema. Bun became a folk hero. "You cannot let your dog attack me," Eli yelled, hopping back as he looked down at his ruined shoes. "Attack is a strong word," Claire said. He expressed a boundary. Lucas, standing a few feet away with a clipboard, coughed to hide his smile. "We will pay for dry cleaning," he offered. Of the floor. Eli did not give up. He sent Claire daily emails titled, "A Chance to Explain," and "Long read but worth it." She did not open them. He mailed her a scrapbook of their early days together. She donated it to a thrift store without looking inside. He even tried to send apology cupcakes from a competitor's bakery. Those she tasted, out of professional curiosity. "Dry," she pronounced. "Too much sugar in the frosting, no real butter." "Tragic," Lucas said. "If you ever forgive him, it must not be for those." They were sitting in her office, papers spread across the table. Bun snored under her chair. Claire glanced at Lucas. "You are very invested in my forgiveness schedule," she said. "I am very invested in not watching talented women waste their time on men who cannot tell a real apology from a marketing strategy," he said lightly. Then his expression softened. "And I am invested in you being happy." She felt warmth creep up her neck. "I am getting there," she said. "Happiness. It just looks different than I thought." "How does it look now?" She looked out the window. From here she could see the city, the bakery's rooftop garden, a slice of the river. She thought of her apartment, now replaced by a sunny loft above the flagship store, filled with plants and recipe books instead of unpaid bills. She thought of mornings that smelled like coffee and fresh bread instead of panic. "It looks like waking up and not feeling dread first thing," she said slowly. "Like checking my bank account and not holding my breath. Like making decisions without wondering how he will react." Lucas nodded. "That sounds like a good start." She turned back to him. "What about you?" she asked. "What does your happiness look like?" He hesitated. "Honestly, until recently it looked like hitting certain numbers, certain milestones, year-over-year growth, market share, all the things we tell ourselves matter, because they are easy to chart." "And now?" she asked. He smiled. "Now it looks like building something I am proud of and going home to someone whose face I want to see more than my inbox." Her breath hitched. "That is oddly specific," she said. "I am an oddly specific man," he replied. Before she could answer, Bun snorted himself awake, scrambled out from under the chair, and barreled toward the door, barking like a tiny alarm. "There is trouble," Claire said. "I can feel it." She was right. When they reached the lobby, Eli was there again, this time kneeling on the floor with a velvet ring box in his hand. Claire stopped so fast Lucas almost walked into her. "Absolutely not," she muttered. Employees lined the hallway, watching. Someone whispered. Is he serious? Claire, Eli said, spotting her. His face lit up with manic hope. Finally, I have been waiting. Please, just hear me out. He opened the box. Inside was a ring with a diamond so huge it looked like it needed its own zip code. I messed up, he said loudly. I chose money over love. I chose a lie over the woman who actually had my back. I lost everything, but I do not care about that as long as I can get you back. Marry me again. This time I will sign whatever you want. You can keep everything if it goes wrong. I will go to therapy. I will volunteer at dog shelters. I will He was rambling. People shifted, some uncomfortable, some entertained. Claire felt dozens of eyes on her. The old Claire would have felt pressure, pity, panic. The new Claire felt tired, and a little annoyed. Eli, she said, cutting through his speech. Stand up. He scrambled to his feet, still clutching the ring box. Is that a yes? No, she said. She took a breath. But I am not going to turn this into a viral humiliation. You have done that to yourself enough. A few nearby phones lowered, disappointed. I do not want to be with you, she said. Not now, not ever. That does not mean I want to watch you destroy yourself on my doorstep. Go home. Apologize to the people you lied to. Pay back what you can. Get a job that has nothing to do with pretending you are better than everyone else. His shoulders sagged. That is it? He asked. No second chance? I gave you 100 first chances, she said. You threw them away. My job now is not to save you. It is to bake very good bread, and not let your bad choices spoil my appetite. Bun trotted forward, sniffed the ring box, and sneezed. Then he grabbed the corner of the velvet in his teeth and yanked. The box flew out of Eli's hand, arced through the air in slow, cinematic horror, and landed in a trash can next to the reception desk. There was a beat of silence. Then someone laughed. The sound broke the tension. It swelled into a wave of snickers. Oh, come on. Eli groaned. Symbolism. Lucas murmured. Very strong. Claire knelt and scratched Bun behind the ears. Good boy, she whispered. No returns. Eli looked at her one more time, eyes glassy. Then he turned and walked out. This time there was no dramatic dash, no sign, no boombox. Just a man leaving a building he no longer belonged in. The doors closed behind him with a soft hiss. Claire straightened and found Lucas watching her with something like admiration. You handled that beautifully, he said. I am shaking, she admitted. On the inside. That is fair, he said. You just held a one-woman boundary seminar for half the staff. She laughed, a little hysterically. Think HR can give me a plaque? I will make one myself, he said. Bun's paw print and everything. That night, for the first time in months, Claire slept through without waking from dreams of signatures and slammed doors. She dreamed instead of kneading dough with sure hands, of icing cakes with phrases that made strangers smile, of a kitchen filled with warmth and music, and a certain investor leaning against the counter, laughing with his sleeves rolled up. When she woke, Bun was snoring at her feet and her phone was buzzing with messages from friends and strangers thanking her for saying no on camera. She smiled at the ceiling. Apparently we run a bakery and a support group now, she told Bun. He wagged his tail and rolled over for a belly rub. He seemed okay with that. 1 year later, the world looked different. Hearth and Home had expanded into 3 new cities. The Fresh Start line was now a permanent menu section, with rotating flavors crowdsourced from customers' favorite comeback stories. Valentine's Day sales were strong, but the biggest spike came every time someone famous announced a breakup and posted a picture of themselves eating. I blocked him. Brownies. Claire sat in her office, reviewing numbers. Her name was on more documents now. Contracts, menus, magazine features. The first time she saw CEO Claire Bates King printed under her photo in a business profile, she had cried in the supply closet for a full 5 minutes, Bun licking her hand. She did not change her last name back to King legally. Not yet. The Bates on her driver's license was a scar. She was in no hurry to erase it. She had earned every line around it. Her phone buzzed. Lucas's name lit the screen. Lucas, you coming down? The taste testers grow restless. Claire, on my way. Do not let Harold eat all the chocolate ones. Lucas, no promises. She smiled and grabbed her blazer. Bun jumped up at once, already knowing the sound of on my way. Downstairs, the test kitchen buzzed with activity. Harold argued with a pastry chef about cinnamon ratios. Lucas leaned against the counter, tie loosened, sleeves rolled, tasting a frosting sample with exaggerated seriousness. This is important work, he said when he saw her. History will remember us by the quality of our salted caramel. History needs therapy if that is true, Claire said. Move over. Let me try. She dipped a spoon into the bowl and tasted. Sweet, buttery, just enough salt to make her eyes close in appreciation. Okay, fine, she said. This might actually heal childhood wounds. Lucas grinned. Told you. Harold cleared his throat loudly. As touching as this is, he said, some of us would like to announce that we are officially old and tired. Claire turned. You are retiring, she said. I am attempting to retire, he corrected. For the third time. This time I mean it. Mostly. I will still come in to yell at the ovens. A pastry chef snorted. So nothing changes. Harold wagged a finger at her, then turned to Claire. The board signed off this morning. You are officially the one in charge, kiddo. No interim. No acting titles. You run this place. Claire's stomach swooped. She had known it was coming. She had helped prepare the paperwork. Still, hearing it aloud made her want to laugh and vomit at the same time. I will try not to burn it down, she said. Harold wrapped her in a flour-dusted hug. You will set it on fire in all the right ways, he said. I am proud of you. After he left to go terrorize the espresso machine, Lucas leaned in close. Madam CEO, he said softly. How do you feel? Like my life is a weird mashup of every movie trope I ever rolled my eyes at, she said. Divorced woman takes over her family business, becomes a girl boss, gets a hot investor boyfriend, and adopts a meme dog. You left out the part where she invents revenge cake, he said. Very important plot point. She laughed. Right. He bumped her shoulder with his. You earned all of this, he said. You know that, right? She met his gaze. I know it now, she said. Bun barked, impatient. He knew that after taste tests came his favorite part. Walkies. Want to take him out? Lucas asked. I have a call in 20 minutes, but I can move it. No, she said. I have someone else to see first. Then we walk. Outside, the city hummed with familiar noise. Claire pulled her coat tighter, against the wind, and headed toward a corner convenience store 2 blocks away. She had been putting this visit off for weeks. There was always another meeting, another launch, another interview. Today there were no excuses left. The bell over the door jingled when she stepped inside. The air smelled like coffee, floor cleaner, and cheap candy. A man in a faded vest stood behind the counter, scanning a lottery ticket. His hair was thinner, his shoulders slumped, but his profile was unmistakable. Eli looked up when he heard the bell. For a moment his expression was blank. Then recognition hit. His hands froze around the ticket. Claire, he said. It was not how he had imagined seeing her again. He had rehearsed so many scenarios in his head. Bumping into her at a conference when he had his own company again. Seeing her on a flight, both of them successful and over it. Running into her on a random street corner where he could at least be wearing a decent jacket. Not behind a counter that smelled like stale hot dogs. Wearing a name tag that did not even include his title, because he did not have one anymore. Hi, she said. I was in the neighborhood. He glanced at her clothes, at the bakery logo on her tote bag, at the glossy brochure peeking out. He took in Bun's new harness with the Chief Morale Officer tag. I heard about the expansion, he said. Congratulations. Thanks, she said softly. I heard you got hired here. He shrugged. Work is work. I stack shelves, ring up purchases, stop kids from stealing candy. Turns out when your name trends with the words fraud and fake heiress, people do not rush to trust you with their money. I am sorry, she said, and she meant it. Not sorry enough to take responsibility. Just sorry that it had come to this. He snorted. Do not be. I did this to myself. A customer wandered in, grabbed a soda, paid, left. The world kept moving. I saw your video, he added. The one where you talked about choosing yourself. My mother sent it to me. She likes you better now that you left me. Claire tried not to smile. Your mom was always smarter than you, she said. Facts, he said, a ghost of old humor flashing in his eyes. They stood in awkward silence for a moment. Bun trotted around the snack aisle, then returned, nose dusted with crumbs. He stared up at Eli. Hey, Bun. Eli said softly. You still hate me? Bun tilted his head. Then, to Claire's surprise, the dog shuffled closer and leaned his warm body against Eli's leg for exactly 2 seconds before returning to Claire's side. That was a civil, Eli said. Progress. Claire smiled faintly. He holds grudges longer than I do. Eli swallowed. Do you still hate me? No, she said after a moment. I do not. He looked up sharply. Really? Really? She said. I do not think about you enough to hate you anymore. That is not an insult. It is just I have a lot of other things in my head now. Payroll, new flavors, whether we should open in Chicago or Los Angeles next. My life is full. There is not much room left for resentment. He nodded slowly. That is good, he said. For you. For you too, she said. You get to be a different person now, if you want. He laughed, low and tired. Maybe, he said. I am still figuring out who that is when I am not trying to impress people with things I do not have. Claire thought of the boy he had been. Smart, kind, once. Ambitious without the chip on his shoulder. Somewhere along the line he had decided that being enough was a competition he was losing. I hope you find him, she said. The version that is not always reaching for the next ladder rung. He looked at her for a long moment. Do you love him? He asked. The investor, Lucas. She did not pretend not to understand. Yes, she said. It was the first time she had said it out loud. The word settled around her like a warm coat. Does he treat you better than I did? Eli asked. Yes, she said again. Because I treat myself better than I did back then. He winced. Fair. A teenager approached the counter with a pack of gum. Eli rang it up automatically, fingers moving on muscle memory. Life went on. I am not going to ask you to forgive me, he said once the kid left. That feels selfish. But I am glad you came. It is good to see you okay. I am more than okay, she said. I am good. Bun barked once, as if to underline it. She stepped back. Take care of yourself, Eli, she said. Eat something green occasionally. Yes, ma'am, he said with a tired smile. You too. Do not let the dough rise too long. She rolled her eyes affectionately. I have people for that now. Outside, the winter sun tried its best to warm the street. Lucas waited near the corner, hands in his coat pockets, watching her with that careful attention he always gave her when she walked into a hard moment alone. How was it? He asked as she joined him. Strange, she admitted. Sad, not tragic, just a sad. Like visiting a house you used to live in and realizing the windows were always too small. He nodded. Do you regret going? No, she said. I think I needed to see it. To know I am not walking away from some fantasy version of him, just a man behind a counter trying to figure himself out. Lucas slid his fingers between hers. And you? He asked. Do you know who you are now? She looked up at the bakery sign visible down the street, at the little logo of a loaf inside a house. She looked at Bun, tail wagging as he trotted ahead. She looked at Lucas, at the gentle question in his eyes. I am the woman who wrote her own happy ending, she said. And then realized it was just the first chapter. He smiled. Good, he said. I have strong opinions about sequels. Of course you do, she said. Mr. Numbers. They walked back toward hearth and home together. Inside, ovens would be warming, dough rising, icing being whipped into clouds. People would come in with stories of heartbreak, and new jobs and tattoos and moving trucks, and they would leave with something sweet in their hands, and a little more steel in their spine. Claire pushed open the bakery door. Warmth and sugar wrapped around her. Baristas called her name. Harold shouted from the back about some new bread experiment. Bun took off toward his favorite spot under the counter. Lucas leaned down and kissed her temple, quick and sure, like a promise that did not need to be spoken aloud. Sunlight slanted through the windows, catching floating flour dust like tiny stars. Once upon a time, Claire had stood in a smoky apartment with burned steak on the floor, and a man telling her she was not enough for his world. Now, her world smelled like fresh bread and coffee and possibility. She had built it herself, brick by brick, recipe by recipe, boundary by boundary. People would still try to knock on the door of her life with flimsy promises and big talk. Some would leave as quickly as they came. Some would stay and help wash the dishes. But one thing was certain now. She would never again let anyone else decide if she was worthy of the table. She was the one who owned the bakery. And if anyone forgot that, well, Bun was always happy to remind them.
Thanks for watching. Follow for more romance stories.